In an attempt to maybe boost ratings for tomorrow's CNN debate, they published a story claiming that Bernie Sanders told Elizabeth Warren that, quote, a woman can't win. Now, this story is so dumb, is so fake, as you are going to see. Let me first tell you here what they report. So this is referencing a meeting that Sanders and Warren had in December of 2018, so just over a year ago. CNN says the two agreed that if they ultimately faced each other as presidential candidates, they should remain civil and avoid attacking one another, so as not to hurt the progressive movement. They also discussed how to best take on President Donald Trump, and Warren laid out two main reasons she believed she would be a strong candidate. She can make a robust argument about the economy and earn broad support from female voters. Sanders responded that he did not believe a woman could win. The description of that meeting is based on the accounts of four people. Two people Warren spoke with directly soon after the encounter, and two people familiar with the meeting. So, none of the sources here go on record, and none of them were even in the room. Now, I'll get to Bernie's response here in a minute, but if you have followed politics at all the last 4 years, you would know that Bernie Sanders urged Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016. He wasn't going to run for president in 2016. He wanted Elizabeth Warren to run. Again, remember, think back to 2015, 2016. Bernie Sanders was not a known person yet. I mean, he was known in some circles, but he was not like a national figure the way he is now. Elizabeth Warren was the one that was looked to as the progressive leader in the country, because she was the one that was a lot more well-known than Bernie Sanders was. Bernie wanted Warren to run in 2016. The idea that he would tell Warren a woman can't win after he tried to get her to run in 2016 is completely absurd. Let me first share this tweet from Ryan Grimm, well-respected Washington reporter. He's worked for the Rolling Stone, the Washington Post, Politico, now The Intercept. He wrote a book that detailed this exact encounter years ago, back in 2015, when Bernie tried to get Warren to run. So he quote tweets another reporter, Ken Klippenstein, here, who asks, wait, didn't Sanders urge Warren to run in 2016 and her refusal to do so was the main reason he decided to enter the race? Ryan Grimm quote tweets it, saying, fact check, true. Also backed up here by Ruby Kramer of BuzzFeed, who says, Faz Shakir, disputing the idea that Sanders didn't think a woman could win, also says Sanders himself encouraged Warren to run in 2015. We know from tons of previous reporting that Sanders told people back then that he would not have run in 16 had Warren decided to get in. So again, the idea that Sanders told Warren that a woman can't win is ludicrous. And that's exactly how Sanders responds to this as well. So he responds to this report in the CNN piece saying, quote, it is ludicrous to believe that at the same meeting where Elizabeth Warren told me she was going to run for president, I would tell her that a woman couldn't win, Sanders said. It's said that 3 weeks before the Iowa caucus and a year after that private conversation, staff who weren't in the room are lying about what happened. What I did say that night was that Donald Trump is a sexist, a racist, and a liar who would weaponize whatever he could. Do I believe a woman can win in 2020? Of course. After all, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 3 million votes in 2016. Warren's communications director, Kirsten Arthman, declined to comment. That literally tells you everything you need to know. Bernie Sanders goes on the record denying it, detailing exactly what he said. Warren's campaign declines to comment. So this means they either planted the story themselves, the Warren campaign did, and they know it's a lie, or someone else planted the story, but they think it can help them win, so they're not going to deny it. This is dirty politics. Now, Steve People, reporter for the Associated Press, tweets this out. News. A senior Bernie Sanders advisor tells me they believe that Elizabeth Warren's campaign intentionally leaked a false description of their 2018 meeting. Says it's a recent pattern of Warren attacking the Dem frontrunner. And I'm inclined to believe that. I think this is what happened. So, look, you're seeing this turn now with the Elizabeth Warren campaign going negative. Their numbers are dropping. And they think, I guess, the only way out now is to attack Bernie Sanders, and somehow that's going to help them when these attacks are all based in lies. Honestly, I think all this is going to do is hurt Elizabeth Warren. This is absolutely already hurting Warren's reputation with progressives online. I see it myself. This is going to hurt Warren in the long run, and it's not going to help her in this campaign. This is a dumb strategic move by her. Now, further showcasing how dumb this all is, there's video evidence showing that Bernie Sanders thought differently about what CNN is reporting here. So I'm going to show you two clips here, C-SPAN in 1988 and Bernie Sanders talking to a class in 1987.
The real issue is not whether you're black or white, whether you're a woman or a man. In my view, a woman could be elected president of the United States. The real issue is, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of workers and poor people, or are you on the side of big money and the corporations?
Has there ever been a woman mayor?
Not in Burlington. There have been, and there are women mayors all over the country. There's a woman governor. Who can tell me the name of our governor? Yeah.
I think it's Madeline Kunin.
That's right, Madeline Kunin. And Governor Kunin is a woman. And there are other, not a whole lot. I think there's one other woman governor. There are the mayor of San Francisco is a woman, and there are many women mayors, but not enough. And one of the very important things, and I hope that all the girls in this class understand, that you, just as much as the boys, have a right to become president. There's not been a woman president, although there was a woman who was giving thought to running for president this time, from Colorado, a woman named Representative Schroeder gave some thought. So I hope that the girls will think that they have the right to be involved in politics quite as much as the boys do. It's beginning to change, but it's not changing fast enough.
I mean, what more evidence do you need? Back in 2015, tons of reporting saying that Bernie Sanders was trying to get Elizabeth Warren to run. And you go back in time, look in the 80s, Bernie Sanders clearly wanted a woman to be president. So this whole story is just completely absurd. Now, it's on Warren to denounce this. So this is what really has me ticked off. They asked the Warren campaign for a response, as I showed you earlier, and they didn't give one. They declined to comment. When you decline to comment, that means you're hiding something. Why would you not comment on this when the story is about your campaign, is about your candidate? So by Warren not denouncing this, by Warren staying silent, all she's doing is helping Joe Biden. I mean, all she's doing right now is creating a fight between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and their supporters, and that allows Joe Biden to capitalize. And speaking of Joe Biden, this story came out at the beginning of this month, barely got discussed at all. So this from HuffPost: Joe Biden said Hillary Clinton faced sexism, but that's not going to happen with me. His campaign has clarified that he wasn't implying that women are less electable than men. So let me get this straight. When Biden says outright that, well, sexism is not going to work on me because I'm a man, it's not a story. This was barely covered at all by the press. HuffPost covered this, but this didn't become like a CNN story. This wasn't talked about on cable news. This didn't become a thing. But when unnamed sources claim Bernie Sanders said a similar thing that he outright denies, they blow it up into a huge smear piece. I mean, if the bias isn't obvious, this says everything. Now, if you wonder why all these attacks on Bernie Sanders are coming right now, well, the party is coalescing, the voters are, around Bernie Sanders, including in Iowa. So as Eric J. tweets out here, quoting Politico, something's happening with Bernie Sanders that looked unlikely to many a few months ago. Progressive leaders and organizations are lining up behind him, not Elizabeth Warren, in the lead up to voting. So there you go. Bernie Sanders is the front runner. The Elizabeth Warren campaign is freaking out, and they're planting stories like this to try and gain support back, when all it's doing is hurting Elizabeth Warren's reputation. So, as I said in my last video, expect these sorts of manufactured attacks to keep coming because they have nothing to work with.